everybody's talking about Cade Cunningham. Who do you have for most improved, Tom?
Oh, I'm curious. I'm wondering if you're going to do this. You're not going to give JB Bickerstaff Coach of the Year top 3. You're not going to go Malik Beasley. Are you going to go 3 for 3, the hat trick, by basically being public enemy number 1 in Detroit and not give it to Cade Cunningham? Because I got Dyson Daniels as my most improved. If it's not Ty Jerome. Now, you said it earlier. Ty Jerome not being eligible for most improved when he was basically out of the league last year, injured and also not playing, deserving of being like a rotation player, and then being arguably a top 4 player on a Cavs team that's winning about as high as we could have expected for the Cleveland Cavaliers, hitting the 100th percentile in expectation this year. That Ty Jerome is not eligible for most improved player is so asinine to me. It makes no sense. This guy has been awesome. But if he does not qualify and meet the criteria because of the weird, convoluted way that we do the end of year awards, I'll give it to Dyson Daniels, who, again, like the improvement from not really a rotation guy to being possibly the defensive player of the year is a huge change. And I want to give Dyson Daniels the credit here. So he's my pick for most improved if it's not going to Ty Jerome.
Yeah, I mean, so Dyson Daniels is deserving for sure. I had him second on my ballot. I had Christian Braun from the Denver Nuggets third on my ballot. I feel like he's been way overlooked in this whole discussion with his massive improvement offensively, huge uptick in volume and an improvement in efficiency as well. But I have Cade Cunningham winning the award. I got Cade winning the award. I got Cade winning most improved, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, the number 1 pick shouldn't be eligible. They're supposed to be really good. Well, last time we saw Cade healthy, it was like, he's all right. He's good. He's solid, but he's not number 1 pick expectations. He's a solid player. He's maybe the 80th best guy in the NBA, the 100th best guy in the NBA, and he goes to an all-NBA level. You talk about the leap it takes to go from 40 wins to 60 wins versus 20 wins to 30 wins or 40 wins. Cade went from, is this guy a bust? To, oh, wait a minute, he's an all-NBA talent. To me, I don't care where the guy was drafted. I care what they were last time we saw them to what they are today. And Cade Cunningham's improvement as a playmaker, as a scorer, as a shooter, consistency as a defender. He took a massive leap that's hard to make from okay, solid, high volume player to all NBA guy who some people might have on 5th on their MVP ballots and should be on most all NBA ballots. To me, that's the biggest leap of anybody in this year's league, despite Dyson Daniels, despite Christian Braun, despite a fair amount of guys, Zubac, Austin Reeves, your guy, Denny Avdia, a lot of candidates, Ty Jerome, who was not eligible, unfortunately. I've got Cade number 1 because I don't factor in where the guy was drafted necessarily, Tom. To me, it's about year-to-year improvement.
I can't get behind this. I can't.
You look really disappointed in me.
I am, dude. I thought you
want me to get you want me to get knocks on the door and phone calls from Detroit. That's what you want. You were hoping for it, but look, it's true, man. I voted for guys like this in the past before. To me, it's not just an award for borderline role player to really good role player.
Yeah, last year, Cade Cunningham, 22.7 points per game, 7.5 assists per game. He shot 45% from the floor, 36% from three-point land, and 87% from the line. You're telling me that improvement from 23, 8, and 4 to what he is this season is more impressive to you than what Dyson Daniels has done, or that Christian Braun has done, or that Ty Jerome has done. It's Tom, like the guy was really good last year. He was really good this year.
It's not just a numbers thing, though. It's just not. To me, that's part of it. It's not just a numbers thing. Dyson Daniels was a great defender for the Pelicans as well. He was an awesome defender for the Pelicans. Dyson Daniels, the argument for me is like, oh, wait, how much he improved offensively?
Offensively, too.
Offensively, yeah. Daniels has improved. But Cade Cunningham, the volume, the increase in minutes, the increase in responsibility, the improvement as a playmaker, to me, Cade took a big leap from solid, the solid number 3 guy or number 4 guy on a title team to a potential 1 or 2 on a championship team. More likely a number 2 than a number 1 for what it's worth.
Kev, all right, then say it here. The reason why you have Cade Cunningham as most improved player of the year in 2025 is because you thought he was a massive bust last year.
Yeah. I thought he looked like a bust. I thought he looked like an okay, solid player, but maybe somebody the Pistons should consider trading. I worried about what he was for that team. I worried that defensively he was too inconsistent. I worried that his efficiency as a perimeter scorer was never going to reach the level that it needed to. But for Cade this year, that he answered a lot of my concerns, and he still has more ways to improve as well over the course of time. That's what's, I think, promising for the Pistons, that Cade has more improvable areas as he continues to develop. But this improvement from year 3 to year 4, to me, was most improved pick worthy. Now, it's different perspectives. Most improved is always gets into these types of debates. It's always like this. Remember when Ja Morant won it? And I think that year I might have voted Desmond Bane, if I remember correctly. I may be misremembering. Might have been different years. But like Ja, number 2 pick, it was the same thing then. Well, should he really be a candidate for this? It's always like role player versus top pick for this debate. And maybe the NBA needs to make a rule. You have the 65-game rule. You have this rule for half games for 6-man. Maybe you can't be a top 5 pick or a top 3 pick and be eligible for most improved player. Maybe the NBA needs a rule for this as well.
I don't know what the rule change would be, but I appreciate you standing on your take, because I think for people who are arguing for Cade Cunningham to be the number 1 guy in the most improved race, you are admitting that you thought he was a massive bust, because there's no other argument. There's no other argument that a number 1 overall deserves most improved player of the year.
Not bust at like the Markelle Fultz type of level, but bust to number 1 pick expectations. This was my same thing I said earlier in the year with Risache. He might be a bust if the 3-pointer actually isn't going to come along. Like, he needs to be able to shoot the 3. Well, he's shooting the 3, and he looks like a really good role player for 10 plus years, and maybe more than that, considering his range of skills. With Cade last year, it was like, well, yeah, he can score inefficiently, high volume, good stats, bad team player. I'm not so sure he's actually that great. And I think you look at player rankings, nobody would really have him in the top 70 or top 80. He was a borderline top 100 guy for the Pistons through the first 3 years of his career. But now at this point, he's an all-NBA guy, like for sure all-NBA guy, as part of a really good Pistons defense, part of the reason why they had the big improvement. That's why I voted Cade.
Yeah, I feel like
maybe I was too low on him before. Maybe that's what you're saying, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying that implicitly what you're arguing, or anyone who picks Cade Cunningham here, is that he was not nearly as good as you thought he was, because he's not an MVP candidate. Like, you're not like SGA, Jokic, or Cade Cunningham, because in my book, that's the leap you would have to make. For Cade Cunningham, who averaged 23 and 8 last year, and his 3-point percentage has not improved, his field goal percentages have improved a little bit, his all-in-one metrics have improved a little bit. I'm not saying he has not improved, but what I'm arguing is, considering how good he was last year, in order for me to put him atop this race, it would be, is he an MVP this year? Is he the best player in the league this year? And that jump, I think, would be requisite for me to be number 1 overall in this race. But to me, Dyson Daniels' his two-way play, the fact that he is leading the league by far in the steals column, is to me the most improved player if we're not doing Ty Jerome. Now, I don't think there should be an ideological rule change where it's like guys can't win it in their second year, or guys can't win it in their third year, or guys can't win it if they're the number 1 overall pick. I do think that voters will incorporate all of that already. In the same way, I don't think we need a 65-game rule, because I think voters already implicitly are measuring players against how many games played. And you see it in the numbers. The star players this year are not playing as much as they did last year, but there is some evidence that the 65-game rule is working, because 2 seasons ago, before the rule was implemented, the star player participation was lower than it was over the last 2 years. And I would say it has worked on that level, that you saw teams shut down a lot of these guys in the second half of the year. And especially the play-in tournament has done a lot to improve player participation. But I would still say that I can't get behind Cade Cunningham, because what you're saying is, and you've already stood on it, is that he was a disappointment up until this year, and a number one pick who's averaging 23 points a game already. To get this award, to me, the bar has to be higher.
Very fair. And I think you're going to have a lot of people making that argument. And I look forward to seeing who actually ends up winning this, because there's a lot of people who are going to share your perspective. There's a lot of people who are going to say his improvement as a volume shooter off the catch, the fact he began extending his range to 3 off the dribble, he improved at the rim, he improved as a defender. There will be people who say, well, he took enough of a leap to all NBA. There will be that argument. There will be people who say number one picks should not be considered, period, end of story. But to me, I think, JB rightfully deserves a ton of the credit for the Pistons' improvement this year. Malik Beasley deserves a lot of the credit for the Pistons' improvement. Tobias Harris and these veteran additions, Beasley, all this, right? They changed the team, but the young guys, those core pieces as well. Jalen Duren got better in the second half of the year. And Cade Cunningham, if you're ranking the reasons the Pistons got better, Cade Cunningham is number one on the list. Why the Pistons became a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. He's number one on the list, in my opinion.
I think Trajan Langdon in the front office deserves some credit too. Malik Beasley and Tobias Harris have been awesome in spreading the floor and surrounding him with shooters. And Jalen Duren and starting at the 5, like they were playing at the 5 and not having double big lineups a lot this season, which is what Monty Williams did, where it was like they were playing 90s basketball, like caveman basketball, with 2 like throwback centers on the floor at all times next to Cade Cunningham. Didn't work. And what JB Bickerstaff and the front office did to space the floor with Malik Beasley and Tobias Harris, I think opened up the floodgates for Cade Cunningham. And I think he's been improved, but I think the system has improved just as much as Cade Cunningham. And to me, the improvement is more about the coaching and the personnel than it is about Cade Cunningham. And that might make me an enemy in Detroit, but I'm saying everybody deserves credit here.
Both of us.
Yeah.
We'll both be enemies of Detroit.